we are going to have a guest in the studio. Well, as a matter of fact, yesterday, December 1st, was World AIDS Day. Yeah, World AIDS Day was instituted by the United Nations in 1988 to commemorate those who actually lost their lives to the AIDS pandemic, as well as to look at different ways to bring the pandemic down and also to bring that awareness to the fore. But we have been overtaken by a whole lot of events, including a strike action coming up today. So we're going to change our focus not so much to AIDS, but to the fact of the minimum wage, that and wonder also why it is that some governors are not paying it, to the extent that today a number of states have gone on strike. Now, I will not be alone to tackle that discussion. Like I told you, I have a very, very learned, knowledgeable guest in the studio. They always say the lawyers are the learned ones, but for me, you'd always ask me, I tell you, it's the journalists that are, because you have to know something about everything. Not just that, you could be called upon at any time and you must give an intelligent answer to justify your profession. So it's my pleasure to tell you that right with me in the studio is a seasoned journalist practitioner. We're talking about a media guru. We have with us, seated right here, a man who has gone through print, into broadcast, television, through radio, an executive member of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, a media practitioner of repute, the immediate past commissioner of Ogun State. He was the Honorable Commissioner for Information in Ogun State under the current governor. So we have in the studio today Honorable Abdulwaheed Odusile. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, madam.
It's my honor and pleasure to be sitting in the studio with you today.
I'm honored as well.
Thank you for joining us today. Okay, well, let's even start from your state, Ogun State. You were the immediate past commissioner for information. So it must have been a delight and a joy for you to discover that Ogun State is completely out of this minimum wage debacle. As a matter of fact, Ogun State added almost 10,000 naira more to the federal government baseline, which is 70,000. Ogun State is paying 77,000 naira and has also implemented it. Now, what does that say about the government and the governor of Ogun State?
Well, if I have to go back and wear the jacket of the Commissioner for Information and Strategy in Ogun State,
yes,
I will tell you that the governor has done very well. But you see, it's not the first time. He has always been a labor-friendly governor. The government has been labor-friendly. That's why when I was there, I can't remember any time we had a labor crisis.
Wow.
Because we were always dialoguing. And you see, I, coming from labor myself,
yes,
I was the president of the Nigerian Union of Journalists.
Yes.
So I'm a member of organized labor as at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So labor issues I take very serious when it comes to workers' welfare.
Yes.
Because the main duty or role of labor leaders or trade unions is to fight for the interest of its members,
right,
welfare of its members. So that's why most people don't know. Oh, why are they always on strike? Can't they empathize with government, this and that? It is not the business of labor to start to empathize with government or employers, because labor is supposed to fight for the interest of its members.
Right.
Although in doing so, you also need to look at the figures, mm-hmm, to know whether what you're asking for is actually achievable or not. But be that as it may, I want to believe that the tradition set put in place by the government, previous governments in Ogun State, which is being continued by this governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, I think will, as usual, portray Ogun State in a brighter light as being a labor-friendly state.
Right.
So I'm not surprised.
Okay. Well, were you surprised though that NLC asked states to begin strike December 1st, December 2nd, in view of the sluggish pace, should we put it, of other governors in implementing the minimum wage. Quite shocking to discover that even FCT has not implemented minimum wage till now. And this was passed by President Tinubu as far back as June. You know, and the hardship, the suffering, you know, the inflation. Every time you go to buy something, it's like double the price you met it.
Well, I'm not surprised at what NLC has ordered its members to do.
I'm not.
And to say I'm surprised that some state governments have not paid, I will just be clever by half if I had to use that cliche. Because not all the states are equally endowed in terms of revenue generation and stuff like that. You see, my problem is we call Nigeria a federation.
Yes.
And yet we want to have a uniform salary structure across the states. It's not possible. Like you see, some states are richer than others.
Right.
And in some states, the cost of living is lower. So without you see, trying to cast aspersion on some states, you don't expect somebody who's working in Lagos to earn the same thing as somebody who's probably working in Sokoto or Maiduguri, or even very close by in Ibadan or Ado-Ekiti. Right. Because the cost of living in Lagos is higher.
Right.
So we expect workers in Lagos to earn more. Right. So it will be out of place and unreasonable for workers in, let's say, Yobe to demand the same as what their colleagues in Lagos are earning.
All right.
But that notwithstanding, since, well, for whatever reason, we have agreed that the minimum wage will be 70, although most of the states were not part of the negotiation when the NLC was doing that with federal government. This is one of those absurdities that we have in our federal arrangements, that everything must be uniform across board, and the federal government decides for everybody. We shouldn't be. If you are saying we are not in a federation, I'm the owner of my purse and what is in my purse. If I can't afford more than 20 workers, don't force me to go and employ 100 workers because where will I get the money to pay them? But then, labor, like I said, is doing what it's supposed to do, fight for its members. So I expect that at every stage there should be dialogue. Let's see what's on the table. Governments also must come out clean. Yes. And let the labor leaders, they are Nigerians as well. They don't want the fall of any government. Right. So when they see the facts on the table, yes, I'm sure they will also reason with. But if government is also being clever by half, right, by not disclosing the facts to labor, yes, I'm sure labor will also use his own power to deal with government and say, okay, you are hiding from us, okay, now this is our own power, we go on strike, right, let us see what will happen. Right. And you know, we don't need to drive ourselves to that point before we reach an agreement on what to do. Right. Well, the baseline is 70,000. Like I've said, even some states they are paying, Lagos is paying, I think, 85 or something. Okay. Rivers is paying 85. Yes. That shows that some states are richer. Right. They're not just richer, they're also being considerate. Right. Because, like I said, cost of living, yes, in all these urban areas, urban, right, centers is very high, right, unlike some, what I call some rural states. Right. So I'm not surprised what both sides are doing. Government, some of these states also want to prove, not really prove, want to tell them that, see, we don't have much money. Yeah. Let's talk. So let's see, it's give and take. That's what's called negotiation.
Okay, let's just take a cursory glance at what some of the states are paying. Just like the Honorable Commissioner said, we have Lagos paying 85,000 naira. We have other states paying the 70,000 naira is going to go for states like Abia, Adamawa, Anambra, Jigawa, Borno, Edo, Kwara, Nasarawa, Taraba, Ekiti, Bauchi, Yobe, Imo, and Plateau. They are sticking with 70,000. With Kano and Gombe have added 1,000 naira to make it 71,000. Kogi and Kaduna have added 72,000 to make added 2,000 to make it 72. Kaduna is amongst those going on strike today because that even the 72,000 wasn't implemented. Ondo 73,000, Kebbi 75, alongside Ebonyi and Benue. Oshun is paying 75,000 as well. And the interesting thing you're going to find now is that the states, we have about, let's say, roughly 20 states that have done something in line with paying the minimum wage, which means 16 others are left behind. Now, from what you are saying, you're saying that states need to look into their budgets and be able to afford to pay them. But having said that, no, isn't that 30,000 naira, which was the base minimum, rather too low for today's economy?
Definitely. You can. Who can survive on 30,000 in Nigeria today?
I know, 1,000 naira wouldn't even take you halfway to
that means in a month of 30 days, that means you are being given 1,000 naira a day. So
to do everything.
To do everything you want to do for that day.
Yeah.
So that one is unrealistic.
Okay.
And I'm sure that was why the federal government came up with that 70,000. You know, it wasn't 70 before.
Yeah.
You know, it's also strategy in negotiation.
Yes.
You don't roll out all your arsenals at the same time.
True.
At once. So you use it, and when you reach a point of agreement, okay, give or take, and I'm sure the agreement, I think this one should also last for some few years before the review will come up again.
Right.
So hopefully the economy will have improved by that time, and the government will be able to pay more. You see, I'm in support of good pay for workers.
Right.
Good pay for workers.
Right.
But you see, this new minimum wage or higher pay for workers should not be restricted to government workers alone. That's the irony of what. And government employs the highest.
A valid point.
Yes, you know, government employs the highest number of people.
Yeah, right,
maybe followed by the private sector, and the private sector, that is what they call organized private sector. I don't know whether there is an unorganized private sector. I don't know about. I don't know whether we have something like that.
Yeah.
But you see, even in the organized private sector, how many of them can afford to pay now? And because it's now the law, because I'm sure very soon labor will start to harass the private sector to also pay. And if labor is doing that, fine. It's their work. It's what they're supposed to do. It's their obligation to their work, to their members.
Yes.
Now, what happens to those who are not in formal employment?
Right.
Who pays them what?
Right.
Who pays them? The conductor that goes that go out every day with his driver to take commuters to their destination and back home. Who regulates how much he earns?
True. Well, we'll just come back and tackle that question in a moment. Let's just take a quick breather right now and stay with KAFTAN Television. Right after this break, we'll still continue with our discussion, and you can also be a part of it when we get back. Stay with us. You're welcome back, and it's still the press on KAFTAN Television, reaching you live from our studios in Abuja. And like I told you, we are discussing the minimum wage debacle in Nigeria. And if you're just joining us, I must tell you, in the studio we have a guest who has a master's degree in international law. He's also a past president of the Nigeria Union of Journalists. He's also been a president of the West Africa Union of Journalists. He's a print media guru, switching caps now into the broadcast media guru. We actually call him the CEO, but when you know, you know. It's my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, watching right now, to tell you that in the studio live with me today is the immediate past Commissioner for Information and Strategy in Ogun State, currently in FCT Abuja, in the person of Honorable Abdulwaheed Odusile. Honorable, thank you once again for making it this morning at that early hour too, quite on time. I love guests like you that don't give us any problem or stress.
Thank you.
Right. Let's delve straight into it. And like I told you, the program is highly interactive, so we're expecting you to call. After a while, the numbers will be there on your screen. Just hit the telephone line, react to anything you're interested in that we've talked about today, or you can interact with our honorable guest. Okay. Let me see, Honorable, I wanted to ask you, right, you raised two major, real salient points just before we went on the break. You said, number one, who's going to regulate, because it's all going to be about the organized private sector and then organized labor, like trade unions and those kind of people. So who's going to regulate the others? Because as a matter of fact, the number of people captured by organized labor is nothing to compare to those who are outside.
Yeah.
Because there's a woman who's going to wake up very early in the morning, mix up kunu, put it on her head, and take it out, and then probably pay for like a little table and sell that. She's going to engage some 2 or 3 girls to help her. Even those who do this roadside cooking. Who's are you going to come and tell her by fire by force you must pay 70,000 per one? How much are you getting?
That's why at times I have a quarrel with organized labor.
Yes.
You see, they seem to focus more on government and probably the private sector.
Right.
They seem to focus more on that. You see, even as part of organized labor, okay, look at this. Part of organized labor, you have road transport workers.
Right. RTAN.
Part of organized labor.
Right.
The conductors are supposed to be members of those unions.
Right.
Then, how far have those unions negotiated wages for conductors with transport owners? You see, there is this NATO, Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners. They own some of these vehicles, commercial vehicles.
Yes.
Now, I have not had NLC, for instance, saying, "Oh, we are going on strike because NATO is not paying drivers enough money."
Right.
They won't do that. And you see, to me, they are just the relation of duty, abandoning responsibility to workers. Meanwhile, these conductors, I'm particular about I'm just using conductors as an example.
Right.
They pay union dues.
They pay union dues?
Of course.
Oh.
You know, members of NURTW, even drivers pay union dues.
Yes, I'm aware.
Whereas the union their union will not do anything for them. We don't negotiate salaries for them. Like I said, we have NATO, road transport owners. We have road transport workers.
Right.
The workers are working for the owners. But how much is the owners, how much are they paying the drivers who are transport workers? The conductors who are transport workers. Right. How much are you paying them? Who is negotiating their wages for them? Is NLC doing that for them?
Are they getting a minimum wage?
And yes, and these are people. These guys are more than those working for government, those working for organized labor.
Absolutely, yeah, they're more.
So take care of them. You see, we are Nigerian social market women. All over the place, we have Yaloja General, Abaloja General, all over the place. Whereas the market woman, how much was he? Maybe like selling tomatoes and other things like that.
Right.
He employs one small girl to assist her.
Maybe with the shop.
So then, how much is he, by law, is she supposed to pay that small girl that is helping her in her shop? Who ensures that she pays the minimum wage? Because they are also Nigerians. They are Nigerian workers.
Yes.
So these are things. So NLC should not focus on just people working for government and organized labor alone.
Okay. Well, we have our first caller. Mohammed Maiduguri, you are very welcome this morning. You're on.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So where are you calling from?
The former commissioner is speaking almost the mind of almost everybody.
Right. I told you we have a genius in the studio today.
Of Nigerian problem, I always give the example that if pot is boiling, no part of that pot will be cold.
True.
So for that reason, the same problem is discussing, the same problem you can find every part of Nigeria. So for that reason, most of the times our problems, sometimes they call it a political will by our politicians.
Yes.
Some of them, they were ordinary person like me and you, but because of opportunity of politics, have been voted in and they become a higher people and they've almost forgotten the way they were before. Change their lifestyle. You do not care to listen to what is happening at grassroots. This is what contributes to most of the problem associated with Nigerian life today. We shouldn't say anything more than that. Issue of this minimum wage. If somebody who was nobody, simply because he had that political appointment to become somebody, he doesn't care about how those people are feeling. It's a wrong thing. You'll be seeing buildings growing up everywhere, mansions, expensive cars, living unbelievable life by politicians. They don't care about how those people were. Unfortunately, because he gotten well, after the politics activity is over, you see them coming back to that same joint. Me and him were living together. I've seen some of them now. So for that, to avoid avoidable things, we should include fear of God in everything we are doing as human beings. Be you Christian or Muslims, we all know the holy books are always saying justice, fairness, fear of God. It is there in the book. But I am telling you, most of the people who are in a certain area of lifestyle, they don't even open the Bible, neither the Quran. Until when there is nothing coming forth, it is then that they help us with prayer. The prayer that will not work. So to avoid this, I am pleading with them. You are in Abuja. The problem in Nigeria is having is in Abuja. All the problems are in Abuja. Not anything. It is Abuja that is headquarters of every good and bad of Nigeria. So if it is good in Abuja, it will be good every part of this country. If it is bad in Abuja, it affects everywhere. Because a fish is good from the head. If fish spoils from the head, all the body of that fish will also happen. So we want good things to continue to happen in Nigeria, starting from the headquarters down to every level. Honestly speaking, if the federal government is giving federation allocation to states, and the federal government has no means of monitoring what they are giving to the state, I don't care, I don't give them. How do you think it will get down to the lower level? During the politics, you don't forget, all the people who are combating for vote, they go to every part of the country, begging people to vote for them. So once you vote for them, they come to Abuja, they have forgotten that another election is still coming. Nobody wants to know about that. After all, if I gather money, I will spend on them, they will vote me out. Enough is enough. Nigerians are getting more wiser, but we are not violent. We are peaceful people, we are prayerful. That is why God is helping us. No matter how trouble comes, you see that God is listening to us, to the ordinary man prayer. That is what is helping Nigeria. It's not because people don't know what is happening. It is painful for somebody to ignore the pains of others. We are all human beings, we are all created by one God.
True.
So I am pleading with you, KAFTANTV, help us. Pray, talk to people in Abuja, let them help the whole country so that we should be in better society. Let them help Nigeria.
They were here. Thank you very, very much, Mohammed. That was a good one. Oh, Honorable, there were some points that Mohammed raised that, also beat my mind, because you come to notice that, though, that like he was saying, the governors come in and they build all these exotic, let's not even look at the personal buildings they're making for themselves. They're going to all these crazy white elephant projects, which a lot of times end up being abandoned. The contracts are terminated and all those kind of a thing. Then, like he was saying, why don't you bother about the common person, so that even if you can't afford to pay a minimum wage, you could make a very big housing estate. This housing estate is for the LIGs, low income group. You understand? And they will then maybe come in and mortgage the houses or have some sort of a payment plan for them. It's always about building these beautiful houses in these big estates, buy and pay, and those kind of things. Why is it like that? And I want to ask you, give us a little scoop about what was the secret that Prince Dakwa Abiodun did in Ogun State that, seemed to be helping labor over there. Maybe other governors could, key into whatever he did that made the magic.
You see, like I said earlier, consultation, negotiation, having a listening ear. You see, it's like a father.
So let's take that again. Consultation,
Yeah.
negotiation,
Yeah.
have a listening ear.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like a father. The father thinks, either the family thinks for the family.
Right.
In the process of thinking, okay, I have my wife and maybe 3 kids. Now we are living in 1-bedroom apartments before. next year, maybe we need to move to a bigger place.
Right.
The man will think about it.
Right.
But if he does not share his thoughts with his wife, or shares the thoughts with his wife alone, and nobody thinks about the children, nobody talks to them, maybe the man wants to move from the village to the city because he wants the children to have a better education.
Right.
Now, if you look at his budget, when we get to the city, which school will I put these children in, and what will my wife be doing? Maybe the wife has some other ideas, and maybe she's not ready to go to the city yet. Now, but if the both of them sat down and say, now our children are growing, very soon there will be need for them to go to secondary school. In our environment, there are no good secondary schools.
Right.
So we need to move to the cities. Then they sit down. So at the end of the day, they reach an agreement. Maybe somebody has to cut down on some expenses or more personal things. So the same way, if you are in government, you take it as your workers, not just civil servants alone now. You also look at what are the needs of the market women, what are the needs of the road transport or the drivers, what are the needs of the farmers. You look at all those things. Then when the teachers or civil servants come up with, we want 100,000 per month, we said fine. Yes, I can afford to pay you 100,000 because we have some money. But if I have to pay you this 100,000, that means the farmer will suffer.
Right.
The market woman will suffer. The school children will suffer. So by the time we now put all this on the table, now say, okay, now the health service will suffer. So what do we do? Instead of giving you 100,000 per month now, okay, let me add like 2,000 or 3,000 to your salary, so that I will be able to also meet the needs of these other citizens of this state, citizens of this country. So, and if you don't dialogue, because labor is not in it's not with you there in government, so they will not know what your post looks like. So these are and that is what the governor of my state had been doing. Each time there was a policy will come out, we'll make sure you will engage with the relevant stakeholders in the state before things are done, so that by the time if trouble will come at all, everybody's already prepared for it.
Right.
They'll say, okay, let's have the tension. You know, it will interest you to know that during the NSAS crisis, Ogun State was about the only state that did not even record a single incident of any violence. And what did the government do? He made sure he engaged with the youths who are spearheading the NSAS, and he empathized with them, but laid his card on the table for them. Look at it now. This is what we have. And the people say, oh, okay, we'll still go ahead with our strike or the strike, rioting or whatever it is, but we'll make sure, with our protest, but we'll make sure nothing will be destroyed. And not a single pin was destroyed in Ogun. So that is the beauty of having dialogue with your people you are leading. After all, a good leader supposed to be one and part of the people. If you are one of them and part of them, they will then you'll be open to them. They will have access to you. They can talk to you. You can listen. You listen to them, and you also talk to them. You also tell them your limitations, your own challenge, your own constraint, and they will understand. But where you and standing aloof, and they know everything, and then people will leave you alone, and they will come and give you their own trouble. To me, the best way to do this thing, let us dialogue. Dialogue will solve a lot of things. And see, challenges will never finish. Will never end. There will be challenges after we solve this one today, another one come up. So, but the ability to solve all those things peacefully is the hallmark of a good leader.
Wow. The way you're making it sound, it's like I should pack my bag and run to Ogun State tomorrow morning. Well, that's very good. It's nice to hear. You know, if we could have like state to state governors, being part and parcel, like you said, of the people, because the primary concern of government is the welfare
of the people.
Yeah.
But you come and see the governors doing like the primary function of government is the welfare of my friends, my wife, my family, my business associates. And then you leave the people empty all through. And 4 years later, come, oh, vote for me again. You know, so there's so much misgovernance.
The problem also, the people should also share part of the problem. You know why?
Why?
Most times, the people don't know what they want. They don't know what they want. That's just the truth.
All right.
You see, some people who come to government house and make some stupid. Well, I'm sorry to use that word.
No, it's stupid. It's stupid.
You know. Look at them. And they are supposed to be leaders of the other people. They come forward, and by the time you engage with them, you wonder: are these leaders?
Oh dear.
Are they leading their people?
Leading them astray.
So the people must also, you see, what do we want from our government?
Yes.
There are obligations, there are responsibilities.
Absolutely. There are obligations,
yes.
There are responsibilities,
yes.
As well as benefits.
Benefits, yes.
Not focusing just on the benefits.
No, of course.
You are not interested in your obligation.
No.
You have no responsibility.
No.
Every responsibility is government. I tend to agree.
And part of the responsibility.
We have to step up to our
self-responsibility. Part of the responsibility is also paying your tax.
Okay.
Part of the responsibility.
Yes.
Paying your tax.
Right.
Obeying the law.
Yes.
These are part of the responsibilities of citizens.
Right.
And once we do that, then you can also demand from your leaders, from your government, we have done our own part of the bargain, then do your own.
Right.
That is what Chapter 2 of Nigerian Constitution says.
Right. Okay, you look on the screen, you find the number right there. So we're expecting calls from you. You can engage directly with our guest, or you can pick up on any of the subjects that we talked about during the newspaper review this Monday morning. Okay, let's move along. Apart from minimum wage, though, you know, it's not just money. There are other things, like I said, that a government could be doing. Oh, okay, we have a caller. Just let me hold my thought right there. Morning, caller. Good morning. We have you.
Good morning, madam.
Yes, morning, Mohammed.
Yes, my contribution a little bit. You see, as the other commissioner is saying, you see, when I was in Agbara, I know what this Ogun State look like. I know the picture of Agbara and entire Ogun State. The foresight Ogun State and Lagos State did is not comparable to any state in Nigeria.
Wow.
Because maybe to the ocean and whatever gave you that advantage, and you took advantage of that and developed that area very well. Kudos to you. But we can as well learn from you. If the politicians can have that foresight and thinking of developing their various environment, instead of that, you see them building mansions in Banana Island, Zeki, somebody who does not even have family house in his own state. You see him lavishing unbelievable. These are the things that giving people the higher level of poverty you see in the interior of this country. So I am advising and pleading that all this wealth people are amassing, wasting at the expense of the ordinary people of Nigeria. So please, we should have that fear of God and rethink. Nobody is carrying gold and silver to the grave. We leave it in here. If Ogun State and Lagos State can invest continuously for the development of their children yet unborn, what happened to you in the other part of the country that you cannot develop something of that nature? I listened to one politician saying that they have only 4 years. Within that 4 years, he has to amass the wealth the civil servants have for 37 years or 40 years. So for that reason, he has no time. He cannot build something that somebody else in the future will come and enjoy. These are the negative thinkings most of our politicians are going through. Please talk to them. You are a politician too. Give them the example of how Ogun State developed. Let them also learn from you. And that's why this forum is one of us. I'm watching you now in Meduguri. You cannot see me. In fact, this phone that you are wearing shows that you are like us also.
Yes.
So please help and talk to other politicians. Let them emulate from the good aspect of your state so that they can replicate the same thing. So that other places can as well develop. We're Nigerians. Honestly speaking, I'm telling you this based on experience. What happened in the interior part of the country, if you can go around and you even shed tears. People are crying because of negligent of their responsibility. Their salary are not paid, pension are not paid. In fact, the thing are too much.
I agree. Thank you.
President Bola Tinubu is a president. He sits on only president seat. The government is a responsibility of all. People should not continue to cry on president. President, yes, he's a leader, but he cannot be everywhere.
Right. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Nigeria is for all of us.
All right. Nigeria is for all of us. Thank you very much, Mohammed.
You know, he mentioned something that I want to quickly react to.
Right.
Say people build mansions here and there.
Right.
This, you see, to me, it's because our tax system somehow has been lenient on those people.
Okay.
You see, elsewhere, because of property tax,
Right.
you see some of these people in some other places, you see people building less of these mansions. By the time they have to pay property tax, in some countries, they pay inheritance tax. So that some people are even afraid to inherit from their parents.
Luxury, yeah.
From their parents, because of the tax they will pay.
Right.
So if all these people building all these mansions and stuff all over the place, if they know that they are going to pay heavily for it, then they will think twice before building. Right. Because maybe because they have free access to government money, which I think the law should deal with that. But even if they find a way of circumventing the law and putting their hands into the treasury and picking our money, whatever they spend that money on, if they are using to build mansions, so fine. You have this mansion, 100 million. How much are you paying? Property tax.
Right.
You see some of these big building up mansions you're talking about, what do they pay? Some of them just pay tenement rate. Pittance that they pay to local government. Right. Tenement rate.
Right.
But if they are paying heavily at property tax, if they are paying inheritance tax, people will think twice before stealing public funds and using it to build mansions, to do this or do that, or buy luxury vehicles. Because the tax itself will drive you away from such things.
Right. Another point he raised, though, was this issue of the neglect of the rural areas, which is really, I mean, that one, I can't think of any state. I've been to at least maybe 20 states in Nigeria.
All the states,
rural areas are practically abandoned.
All the states. You see, even in so-called good states, if I can use that term for them, they also have rural areas. Right. There are rural areas in Lagos. There are rural areas in Ogun State.
There are rural areas right here in the
FCT. Everywhere. And this is supposed to be a one-city state. You see a lot of rural areas here. You see, it's not as if that we don't have rural areas in other parts of the world.
Yes.
So we are not saying that all our settlements will be cities. No.
Right.
But the necessities of life, give them in those rural areas.
Right, these basic amenities.
Now,
how can a human being live in a shanty, corrugated iron?
If you go to most of our rural areas,
human being like
most of our rural areas, you see small places turned to viewing centers. That means the young elements, the young generation who are living those places also want to enjoy what their colleagues or other Nigerians are enjoying in the cities.
Right.
Now, if you give them electricity, they have water.
Right.
The tendency for them to want to migrate to the city will be reduced.
Completely.
Because, one, they want to have access to internet.
Right.
They want to watch football every Saturday or midweek.
Right.
But if there is no electricity, and you see, they go to school, they meet their colleagues in school, and the topic is about last week match, and they cannot join in that discussion. Right. You see, they feel left behind. They feel left behind, and they might that could even spoil their spirit. They say, "I will not stay in this village any longer. I must go to the city. Abuja. I must go to Abuja." And he has nobody to live with in Abuja. It now comes to Abuja. After a while, it becomes a destitute, and out of shame, he can't go back home.
Lagos, under bridge.
So you can't go back home. So at the end of the day, they now become a nuisance and a threat to the people living in the cities.
Right.
So but just keep them. They are just asking for. They are not asking for mansions.
No.
They are not asking for anything.
No.
In their small, maybe hut, in their small woman parlor, in their village, they are living. You see a large compound one small house in the village. The expanse of land that a family will occupy, one family of how many will occupy in the rural area, you can't have that kind of in the city.
No.
So why don't you give them the basic things of life? Let them remain there. Let their children have schools to go to. It's only in Nigeria that everybody wants to be a graduate. Elsewhere, especially in the Western world, after high school, majority will go and find something to do.
Right.
They learn a trade. They want to do this, they want to do that. But in Nigeria, everybody, that's why you see a high number of failures right in JAMB every year. Because everybody wants to go to university. Everybody wants to go to the polytechnic. To do what? Well, by the time they graduate,
no jobs.
Whereas there are some of them, you know, there is this Yoruba saying that, you see, your fingers cannot deceive you. That means whatever you can do with your hands can earn you a living. There are some of them who probably have flair for photography, have flair for that, for that. But because of peer group influence, they also want to go to university. And they become unemployed graduates at the end of the day.
Okay, let's just take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Your contribution?
My name is Comrade Sunday.
Okay, comrade, you're welcome. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Obafemi local government.
Okay, very sorry. It must have been a struggle to get through this morning, but we're glad you're on. Let's hear.
Very tough.
Sorry about that.
Because of time. Number one, there was a time that we have a conversation with the Commissioner for Environment.
Right.
Then I talk about the road.
Which state was this?
That's Ogun.
Ogun State. Oh, okay, sorry.
So I talked about the road built by the governor of Ogun State, that is Obafemi Road. That at before you enter the local Owode, there is a hill there, and that place is supposed to have a channel, a big gutter that the water from something will be flowing directly into, and they promise that that is going to be second phase. Before they started the game now, the new year, that place needs to, otherwise, by the time they started the game, it will flush away the road and you come back to the same thing. Then secondly, I heard you talking about the rural area.
Right.
Even in many parts of Ogun State, let me talk about Obafemi local government. As far as I know from Olorunsogo power station down to Ofada Junction here, all the maternity or village hospitals,
Right.
all have been abandoned,
Oh.
full of bushes.
Okay. Thank you very much for your contribution. You know, we'll have to channel that directly to the state, not directly to us. But we're not too pleased to hear about what's going on there. Thank you very much for letting us know. We have another caller on the line. I'm trying really hard. Network is not even letting me pick it. Caller, I know you're trying to call. Can you get? Are you on now? Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning. Very sorry. We could actually physically see your struggle to get onto the program, but you're welcome. You're on right now. So, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Sorry about the trouble.
No problem. It's normal Nigerian style. Our network always yeah, my name is Mazi Okorafor. I'm calling from Aro.
From Arochukwu? Wow. Mazi, you're welcome.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Aro is another state, West Coast State.
Okay.
If you are looking at it, look at this picture. 70% of the stories in the papers are talking about this tax pay, tax reform.
Okay.
Now, in my own aspect of tax pay, tax is something that is not overlooked. But many Nigerians are asking me, why are we crossing all this system of tax? Because if you come down to people from our office, to over here, sometimes the is capital, the road is always a thank God for which is doing the one that we didn't do. But the question is this: 80% of elites, they don't pay tax. If you go to the civil service commission, you see that it is majority are those people in the office that are paying this tax. people coming from all the places from nearby states coming to Aba. You see tax officers from local government standing by the roadside. You must show them your paper before you pass. You don't say that they will push it to the local government to go to your tax. But it's no longer because this time around, everybody in Nigeria is Mohammed Ali. By the time you talk to Arabic to go down to you pick one insect blow. By the time you hit you one blow, you take time to do your power. That is the problem. Now, after Nigeria, government is doing a difference the way they collect that, when you are approved from. But they go to the old way of that collecting that tax. My sister, my brother, they say red eye and without it, people that it because this apple is what they call apple. When they eat two ones, you say which kind of tax they have about. Honestly. In the Bible, let me tell you, this is God in the Bible. Go to the Bible from chapter 1, Genesis to the Revelation. Jesus Christ brought the tax. He said, the first one that did answer the deposit. What day is this on this coin? These are all rules. Jesus is what we say. He put in the Bible now. Jesus Christ is paying tax.
Right.
So I don't think the one Nigeria will not pay tax.
Right.
What one is
Mazu Korafo. Thank you. God bless you. Wow.
I think
Mazi will just hit the head on the nail.
You know, I can appreciate what he said and identify with some of the things he said.
By the way, some callers said they're identifying with your clothes. I think you should wear this every day. We call it.
Okay, no problem. You see, you know, back in the day when we were growing up,
Yes.
you mentioned something about the above of old,
Yes.
where you see local government tax collectors standing by the roadside.
Right.
If a vehicle is passing by, they stop you.
Yes.
You must have so show them your tax papers.
Right.
If you are not, they will drag you to the station to their headquarters. Go and pay.
Right.
And those are, mind you, those are not necessarily government workers. That means people, ordinary people.
Right.
And so I could remember that growing up, I grew up in that kind of environment where you see local government or state part, they have their own tax officers. They stop your vehicle, either commercial vehicle, show your tax. So people find people running away. They will just bolt. Once they stop the vehicle, they run away because they don't have their own tax papers.
Right.
So, but now people don't want to pay tax and they want to be a big man.
Oh. Okay, let's take this caller. Hi, good morning, caller. Hello, you're live on the press on KAFTAN television. Good morning. You know what you want to do? Turn down the volume of your device because we are hearing a holdback.
Okay, sorry.
All right. Have you done that?
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Right. So, introduce yourself, where you're calling from. Let's have your contribution.
Okay, my name is Mahmoud Hassan.
Mahmoud, you're welcome.
Mahmoud Hassan from Yobe.
Yobe, fantastic.
Yobe, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, how's the weather in Yobe right now?
Pardon?
How's the weather there?
And
The weather.
hello, the weather is so dirty, so hard. It's very, very cool.
Oh,
Okay.
It's very cool, very cool. So I'm very appreciative with your effort.
thank you.
And I send my gratitude to Abdulwaheed.
Thank you.
I'm very appreciative. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow.
We just wanted to show appreciation for what we are
Oh, we
doing.
appreciate you for
Yeah.
appreciating us. Thank you all the way from Yobe. That was a nice one, just to appreciate us. Yeah, we're here. KAFTAN Television is a television for the people. So we are actually here for you, and it's all about you here. Okay, Honorable. There's never enough time. 1.5 hours are slipping through my fingers, and I've barely even scratched it because, you know what? You're going to pledge to me the next time I call you here, please. I know you're always traveling. I know you're always in there. Create a little more time. You can see that, you've really struck a chord with a lot of our viewers. So promise me you're going to come back in the shortest possible time when we invite you.
Well, I'm always available.
Always.
Always available. Time permitting. And Call of Duty permitting as well.
Yes,
but
yes.
anytime I'm called upon, it's service to our people. You know, the media is service. Once you are in the media, you are serving society. So that's why the way I look at the role of journalists,
Right.
our work is not so much of what you get out of it. It's what you give to the people.
Right.
Because our job is just service, service, and service. And like we said earlier at the beginning, when people said some learned this, learned that, as a journalist, you are supposed to be jack of all trade.
Right.
I must master all.
Right.
You must master all.
Right.
So, and in doing that, you are constantly on your toes.
Right.
Constantly on your toes.
Right.
Learning, and learning every day.
Right.
That's why you see a journalist, you see a paper on the floor, you pick it up. Because you never can tell where you get the information from.
Right.
So you read everything available to you.
Right.
And that's why you need to be on top of your game all the time. And this is what I tell my colleagues all the time. As a journalist, you must be on top of your game. You must be on your toes all the time. Because at any point in time, things could come up and you might be asked to come and account, to come and say something, come and do something. And people see you as a journalist, they see you that, oh, you know more than them. And if you are ignorant of many things, what are you going to tell them?
You're displaying your ignorance.
So that's why I call on our colleagues to always do that for the people, because you never can tell who will benefit from the information you are giving. Because he who has information has power.
Right.
That's just the truth.
Knowledge is
If you have information, knowledge is power. So that's just it. So then anytime time permitting,
Right.
I will always be around to share our experience with our viewers. And this country belongs to us. It's our country.
Right.
We must contribute our quota
Right.
to the development of Nigeria.
Okay.
Like I always tell even my colleagues as journalists, I caution, I tell them, be very careful what you write. Be very careful what you say. Do not use your pen or your microphone to write or talk Nigeria out of existence. You are called Nigerian journalists today because there's a country called Nigeria. If you write or talk Nigeria out of existence, then you have no country to call Nigeria, you have no country to call your own. That means you have to now be looking for where to belong. Nothing is perfect anywhere in the world. Everybody, you see the American election that just ended. Some of the things that happened there are things that we believe will never have happened, that can only happen in the third world countries. But we saw it in America. And yet, an American will say, God bless America. But in Nigeria, what do? You begin to raining curses on your country, raining curses on your leaders. For goodness sake, this is our country. And as journalists, we must defend our country, not our leaders. We must defend our country. And in defending our country, we hold our leaders accountable. Right. But we also know that our leaders, they are not spirits. They are from us. If we say our leaders are bad, that means we are also bad. Because they emerged from us. Like I said earlier, a leader must be one and part of the people. If the people are good, the leader they will produce will be good. If they are bad, they shouldn't expect a saint, because they are not saints themselves. So whatever we sow in Nigeria, we will reap. Okay. So it's better we start sowing good seeds, so that we harvest something good in this country.
Right. Okay, please, just before I let you go, can you just chip in a final word to the NLC? Especially since strike has started in some states. Is there...
like I said, I'm also a member of Labour.
I know. So put on the two caps and say something.
No, well, I only say that we should do what is good for our country. Right. That's just it. All right. What is good for our country.
Okay.
Not being selfish. Let us do what is good for our country. So, but on the part of the Labour and the part of the leaders, especially those in government, let us think of Nigeria
first. Okay. Think Nigeria first.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a perfect place to leave it on the program today. Thank you very, very, very much indeed. I've learned a lot. Our listeners have learned a lot. And I'm sure you enjoyed today's package. Okay, that's going to be a wrap now on the press this morning. I'm Mikki Attah. It's been such a wonderful pleasure for me to host you this morning. And I'd be remiss if I do not thank the production crew, talking about Victor Chizia and all of you on production. If not you, we won't be here. Thank you very much, the cameraman and everyone. Okay, thank you very much. Those of you who called, those who tried to call in, we noticed. Sorry, there was a little bit of technical glitches, but those who were able to, we thank you for your contributions.